this is Amy here from Snowy Owl Knits. I'm here to show you today how to put together this beautiful Kromski Polonaise wheel. So stick with me and do forgive me for any of the oddities in the filming. I had to run out and get another memory card in the middle of filming. That's what good planning gets you, huh? So thanks for joining me. We'll get right to it. Hi, yes, this is Snowy Owl Knits. I'm Amy. This last year has been a strange one for all of us, and well, I really haven't put anything up in a while because I had a bad break in my leg, a lot of recuperation going on, but I learned how to crochet, and this last year I also got into spinning, and up until now I've been using drop spindles, but you know, I'm never one to just take it easy, and you know, I'm curious, and so I decided to go ahead and purchase a spinning wheel, even though I've never used one. And but hey, you know, why not learn something new? So I did a lot of research, talked to a lot of different companies, a lot of different people that are involved in fiber, and yeah, what I finally decided upon was the Kromski Polonaise, and I got it just yesterday, but we had a friend over for dinner, and so I really haven't had time to do anything with it. It's gorgeous. I want to give a big hello to Bridget of Pacific Woolen Fiber, which is where I ended up purchasing the wheel. I emailed, as I said, a lot of companies, and she was the first one to get back to me. I had so many questions, and she was just right on top. Some other companies didn't get back to me at all, and one didn't get back until maybe a week and a half or so after Bridget from Pacific Woolen Fiber. I also want to thank Donna at Kromski North America because, you know, doing my due diligence, I went ahead and just kind of called and said, hey, what do you know about Pacific Woolen Fiber? And it was all really good. So I wanted to get a really traditional wheel. I wanted, you know, that old-fashioned look, being a history buff that I am. And so I pretty much ruled out the castle style or any of the more modern versions, and I definitely wanted one that would stay in place in my home and not travel. I want this to be an heirloom for one of my grandchildren. Hopefully one of them, hint hint, will go ahead and follow me into it. The granddaughter is due in a couple of months, but my grandson is going to be 3 in a couple of months, so maybe one day. So nuts and bolts, the Kromski Polonaise has a 24-inch wheel, and it has spinning ratios. I'm going to look at my notes here so I don't get it wrong. Of 8, 12, 16, and 20 to 1, just to start off with. They do have optional whorls. It comes with 2 whorls, a larger one and a smaller one that I'll show you here in a minute. You can get a slow one, which will do 5.5 to 1, or a high speed at 25 to 1. And I went ahead and got the jumbo flyer kit as well, and that's just kind of sitting over here to the side. It comes with a bobbin and an additional support so that, you know, you can change things out. So when you buy from any of the online manufacturers, they're all required to stay at a certain price, and that's so that, you know, Kromski North America can have, you know, control over what's going on. But one of the good things is they are allowed to add some optionals for you as incentives or nice little bonuses. And with Pacific Wool and Fiber, or Pacific Wool and Fiber, yeah, I'll get that right. Their options were the jumbo flyer and bobbin for $50 rather than $120. I still bought it because, I'll get to it, I wanted some other stuff. They offer a $75 gift certificate for use with your next order. You could also get 2 extra bobbins, a Nitty Notty and a Nostopin to match. So with me going with the mahogany finish, and we'll get to that in a minute, that was really tempting. However, I already had a Lazy Kate and a Nostopin. And so for me, I went with option 4, which was 48 ounces of the Kromski Polish Merino. And I have just one of the bags. I ended up getting 6 bags with 8 different colors. And this merino, I can tell you, feels great. I know that the staple length is slightly shorter than some other breeds, but it's really very fine and soft. So I'm really happy that I went with that. Now back to the finish. I went with the mahogany because of the traditional look. And as I was unpacking the box, and I would have loved to have done an unboxing for you, but it really took me an hour. Everything was so carefully put together. As I got to looking at the different pieces, I will tell you that the machining is so beautiful and so detailed. It was worth the extra money to go ahead and have it finished beforehand, because I know I would have marked it up. So I have done just a few basic things to make this a little bit more quick. First, I went ahead and just installed this back leg so it would be standing. This is a single treadle machine, and the treadle was already attached to the 2 front legs and this main base. I did put together my flyer and my bobbin with the Scotch tension. I plan on using, although this machine does offer double drive, based on talking with some people, I plan on using the single drive with the Scotch tension, hoping to make things just a little bit easier. So you get everything that you need in your box, and it's all labeled and carefully wrapped. So much wrapping that you're going to keep the recycling business going. I have followed instructions, and I used some candle wax on all of the threaded areas already to make it easier for threading, and a little petroleum jelly in certain locations, which your directions will tell you. It also comes with a 30 weight oil, which you can keep on hand. It's got this long nozzle, and you're going to want to lubricate at certain places, like here where the treadle meets up with the supports, and near the wheel, and here in the bobbin areas. You may want to have a flathead screwdriver, only because in certain places there are these little cylindrical kind of barrel pre-threaded screws, and all you do is poke them into certain holes so that when you go to attach said pieces, these go right up into that little barrel and attach tightly. I didn't need a mallet to put the leg in, and we'll see how everything goes as we work along. So let's see, we've got everything we need here. A threading hook, all of our pins and thumb screws, and I already have my knitting knotty, or my Lazy Kate, ready to go. I'm going to set that aside, along with, I'm just going to move my jumbo whorl over here, get that out of the way. My spinning wheel came with more of a twine for the drive band, but I'm going to go ahead and use, I have a lot of this mercerized cotton, and just go ahead and go with that way. So the first thing we want to do is take the mother of all table and insert it here facing out. Our mother of all will sit up here, and this is one point where I do have two of those little barrel threads already installed, and so I'm just going to go ahead and get that started. I don't want you guys to have to be stuck watching me hand tighten everything, but I do want to get it in place so that it's sturdy. These are going in very, very easily. It feels like everything is lined up just perfectly. Let's see, I've got a little hex drive, or a hex tool that comes with the machine, or with the wheel, and I'm just going to, I want to tighten it without marring any of the wood finish. So we've got that one in place, and now we're going to get the second one up in here. And again, everything is lining up very well. Very well indeed. That always makes me happy. Okay. And I may go a little bit out of order. I think what they really want me doing next is the and I guess I will have to do the mother of all assembly all at once, but so that is firmly attached in place. One thing I have done prior to visiting with you all is to go ahead and just attach my, these are our support rods, which will allow you to adjust the tension on the wheel or the angle of the wheel. And these are going to go at kind of at once. They're going to go with one end into the mother of all table and the other end here, okay? And we want the thumb screws facing out. The wheel will sit in between these posts, and you know, I suppose it would have made sense if I had not tightened down that table, because there's just a slight bit of pushing I have to do to get this down in place. I promise y'all, I read directions, but then I somehow manage to go out of order anyway. So I'm just going to get that kind of, there's tension there. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm going to turn that slightly. In between the posts are these thumb screws, and this needs to come down just a wee bit more. These two screws should be about equidistant through the supports, because when you go to mount your wheel, you don't want to have to do too much adjusting there. They're not exactly even, but the adjustment will be done, once you get that wheel in place, the adjustment will be done with these support posts. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring out my Footmen, and I have tied a square knot at the base of it. The Footmen has a round slot here, and this pin is already in place, which kind of holds it firmly with the cup. Let me show you that now. So here's our wheel. Isn't it a beauty? The wheel has just one of these cups on it, and that will be facing me in the back. But I wanted to show you that to put it on, you go through this wide section and just sort of let that hang. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Now this would be a good time if you are going to want your, if you want to have your threads in place, you might want to just kind of drape them in there, but I'm going to wind mine afterwards. You know what, before I go ahead and do, I need to, I did forget a step. I need to go ahead and get these kind of locked in place. We do need the support. I am so happy with the way this is going together. There's no weirdness with things fitting. That's a really good sign of fine craftsmanship, in my opinion. Let me get both just sort of hand tightened. And there we go. I just think it's beautiful that, you know, out of the box, I can't tell you how many things I've put together in which things just, they didn't fit properly, or you found, you know, some defect somewhere. It's so disappointing and so frustrating, and I'm just so far not finding it with this. So, oh, I forgot to mention that my wheel was made in Poland, and I know some are made in North America. I don't know if Kromski does all of their manufacturing in Poland, but this one was manufactured in Poland, and it was signed in the year 2020. And I can't read the signature. I think it might just be initials, and it could be, you know, the person that inspected it, or I'm not sure who signed it. All right. So again, with a wheel, I think this part might be a little bit tricky, and so you please bear with me. So the first thing we need to do is drop the Footmen through the, you can see there's, I hope you can see this, there's a slot here in the base, which is meant for that Footman to travel through. I really don't want to mar up any of the finish on this. And so we'll get our wheel in place. Now everything is machine threaded. We just have to line up the front screw almost in place. It's hard to work from behind. I'm making this look much more difficult than I think it actually is. I may have to change angles so I can see where I'm going. If I loosen this one a little bit, we'll get just what we need. In fact, I can also use this adjustment and this adjustment to kind of loosen up that area so that it will fit. Loosen it just a little more. And okay, that one's in place. Oh my gosh. And now I'm going to loosen this one up just slightly so that I'm turning it towards me, which is kind of increasing the space between the wheel and the support. Okay, so my wheel is now in place, the footman's still just hanging, and I want to tighten this up, and I want to do it at the same time as the other one. And what that's doing is bringing in the sides. This one needed just a little bit more. And these will also be used later on when we want to line up our whorl with the feet of the wheel. So let's see how we stand there. Yeah. Okay, we'll do some adjustments later, including attaching the footman there. And so now it's time to go ahead and put our mother of all base. And one thing I want you to notice is that there is a little bit of angle here at the base, rather than it being set straight on. And that angle is there on purpose because it needs to fit properly. Okay, so also there are these little guide pins underneath, and that helps you find the correct place. It just kind of fits up on there. Now we will be using an adjusting rod that will fit with a thumb screw fed up through the bottom, and then the mother of all pin to meet with. Wow, that is not what I want. I'd like to get this done. Now we do want it kind of forward, so I am going to go ahead and just, we want this to feed through the base. Okay, so this is at the base. This is going to feed through it. And at the top, we'll have this to hold it in place. Okay, so I'm sort of doing two things at once here. I'm making sure that this hole is facing this way, and I'm going up through the center, and I can see through the little hole back here that I'm really close to alignment, and so I'm going to go ahead and just sort of get that started. Good. Just so I can put my mother of all pin in place. I don't want to tighten it down too much at this point because there will be some adjustment to be made. So I'm just hand tightening it. In fact, yeah. We want this to be able to slide back and forth at this point. Oh, and let me point out also, when you put your unit together, you want to make sure. Well, if you've stayed with me, you'll know that my video cut out unexpectedly because I didn't plan very well and ran out of memory. Had to solve that issue. When we left off, we had attached our wheel and footman. Since then, I've attached the footman to the treadle board and it's all ready to go. It's moving, well, we want it to spin clockwise. The one thing that I didn't get to mention before when I was cut off was that when you're assembling this piece, hello through the wheel, make sure the triangular base for the mother of all is here at the front. When you adjust this, when you tighten it, it brings the supports for your bobbin in a little bit more closely, and so you won't have a bobbin popping off as you're working with it. So I think the last thing that we want to talk about is, let me turn my wheel this way so that you're looking sort of head on. If when you set your wheel up, if it is not aimed towards your whorl, in other words, if it's more parallel to everything else, then you may run into some issues. You want your wheel, as it rotates, to be aimed towards your whorl. So that adjustment is made with these two rods here on either side. Let me turn it just a wee bit so you can see. I'm talking about these. They rotate, and what you want to do is just stand behind it like I am. And currently my wheel is slightly to the left. I want it to curve in just a wee bit. And so now I've got it lined up, and this beauty is ready to spin. So join me as I get further into spinning. You can laugh along with me, cry with me, whatever it is. I know, having never used a spinning wheel before, this is going to be a process. So thank you for joining me, and again, take a look at Pacific Wool and Fiber. Check out this Kromski wheel. Really, it's a great, beautiful wheel that you'll want to have, and it's really competitively priced. I know no wheel is inexpensive, but this has all of the features that you probably are going to want even as an advanced spinner, and it's just incredible. I can't wait to get started.